Hi there. I want to talk for a minute about our family story. I'm going to let you in on a little bit of what has happened to me with my mom and dad, who both had dementia. My mom had Lewy body dementia, which is the sledgehammer of dementias. My dad had pretty straightforward, if there is such a thing, Alzheimer's disease. My dad was an easy customer from the get. I mean, my dad was an easygoing person in general, laid back, fun-loving, just a great guy. He didn't change. His personality really didn't change much with dementia at all. In the early stages, there was some fear, there was some depression, there were some things like that going on. As he progressed in the illness, he actually got easier to deal with. He remained pretty easygoing. He was never aggressive. He was never argumentative. There really weren't any problems with him. He didn't have a lot of agitation, that kind of thing. Toward the end of his life, he was in a care home. I visited at the window for a year because it was during the COVID lockdown, and visitors were restricted from entering care homes. But I was allowed in toward the end when he was on hospice and he was getting toward the final stages. He had been easy up until that point. At one point, he started to give the caregivers a difficult time getting dressed in the morning. They were trying to dress him and he was kind of starting to not fight them physically, but really starting to push back on it. Unbeknownst to me, the people in the care home called his doctor directly, circumvented the family, called his care, and had the doctor prescribe something called olanzapine. I want you to look this drug up. It is contraindicated for dementia, and in fact, it can hasten death. I don't know why they're using it. I don't know why they're still using it, but I went in the next day, and although my dad was nonverbal at that point, he was bedbound and nonverbal. We were still communicating through eye contact, touch. There was still an awareness of who I was and that I was there. And I really was valuing those final days so much because there was so much I wanted to say, and I wanted him to retain that awareness so I would be able to say all the things. And I came in the next day and he was a complete vegetable. It was a really remarkable change from the way he had been the day before. And I asked about it and was told that he had been put on olanzapine. I hit the roof. I called the doctor, immediately asked that he be taken off of it, and I asked why, and they said he had been, getting difficult with the caregivers getting dressed in the morning. I said, what part of getting dressed was a problem? Well, it was putting on his socks and shoes. And I found out that he was wearing these severe compression stockings that had been prescribed to him months and months and months previously when he had a little bit of swelling in his legs. Doctor prescribed some compression hose, compression socks. He was still getting those put on him every morning because nobody had discontinued the order, even though the swelling had gone down. This is what is so frustrating, is that there's a fractured system and the doctors don't communicate with. There's just not a coordinated plan of care. So you have to be so vigilant. You have to manage this so much of the time. So I suggested that I said, why is he still wearing the compression hose? I mean, he's at death's door. Let's just discontinue the compression hose. And of course that was fine with the doctor, and they did, and he was no longer difficult to dress in the mornings. That's what I mean about getting to the root cause of what the behavior is, to the root cause, and performing an intervention based on that rather than jumping to medication, and especially a medication like olanzapine. You should Google that if your loved one has been prescribed that, or if the doctor brings that up with you. You should really question it and do your own research. I always encourage you to do your own research on these things. Follow me, bothsides.biz. Reach out if you have questions and I can help answer in any way. I can help translate what's going on into language that you'll understand. And thanks again for tuning in.